What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have been tuning in and keeping up with the NBA playoffs, we are now in the round 2 phase of the NBA playoffs. Every single team that's in the playoffs remaining at this point in time has now entered their round 2 stages. Some teams have already played while other teams are preparing to play, and we're going to go through who I think is going to walk out of the Eastern and Western Conference second rounds and moving on to the Eastern and Western Conference finals. I also want to take a deeper dive into the previous round and I guess go through what I thought was right, what I thought was wrong, who I predicted to win and who I predicted to lose. I did that in a live stream before, for the end of the watch along for the playing tournament. I gave my predictions. I want to see if we made it through. But before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not or not even about the Bulls, sorry, just the NBA playoffs and who you think is going to advance into the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. And I get it, this is a Bulls channel and this might not be the most popular video to make, and it might make a lot of people very jealous at the fact that we are not there. But maybe this video can provide a purpose for some Bulls fans and some Bulls players. Heck, the management team, whatever. You know, I don't know if there's anybody that truly watches these videos that's part of the organization. Maybe something like this, talking about other teams on a Bulls channel, can light the fire that could actually get them to this situation where we're talking about them and looking at how good they are instead of looking at how good everybody else is. So that's something to keep in mind. So I guess it is firstly time to talk about the Eastern Conference, since the Bulls are in the Eastern Conference. So the second round that we are going to be witnessing, the first 2 games, or the first series, my apologies, will be the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. So I want to take a deeper dive into first round first and foremost. So the Boston Celtics took on the Miami Heat and swiftly dealt with them. I believe it was 5 games. Now, I think the biggest talking point with the Boston Celtics is the injury that has happened to Kristaps Porzingis. Unfortunately, he sustained an injury that should take him out for the majority, if not all, of this series against Cleveland. But still, with those injuries in hand, they managed to swiftly deal with the competition. They were just too good. Miami had a really good game where they shot 23 threes in that game to win. I believe that was game 2, if I'm not mistaken. Regardless of what game it was, they did a very, very good job in that game. But ultimately, it was just too much to handle. With no Jimmy Butler, there was little to no chance that Miami Heat team was going to walk away with a win. Boston dominated from the three-point line. Boston dominated defensively. They dictated the style of play. Miami's a team that's never going to go away, but they're also a team that just didn't have the quality to beat the Boston Celtics. Cleveland, on the other hand, that was a very interesting series. I thought the first 2 games, it really felt like Cleveland were going to dominate this series. And they didn't. It went all the way to the down the stretch, and Cleveland managed to walk away, beating the Orlando Magic in a 7-game series. Now, before I get to the Cleveland Cavaliers side of things, I must admit, and again, if there's any Orlando fans watching this, I know the players won't feel proud of themselves because they got eliminated in the first round, and I think there's a little bit of pride that goes into that. But I think the fan base should be very proud of their team. They're one of the youngest teams in the organization. They were top 3 in defense this season. You could see the character of some of those players, even guys that struggled the entire playoff series. You could see the character there. There's something to build on there, in my opinion. And as long as they can keep that defensive intensity up consistently, I think their offense will get better over time. And they brought a heck of a fight to a Cleveland team that's always projected to go a long way in the Eastern Conference. You know, they have the team, in my opinion, to do so. But maybe they don't put it all together. Orlando brought a heck of a fight to them. So you should be very proud of yourselves if you're an Orlando Magic fan today. But with that being said, can Cleveland pull the upset of upsets against the Boston Celtics? Well, I think the biggest thing to watch out for Cleveland is how much they can bully this Boston Celtics team when it comes to the height advantage. Al Horford at the moment seems to be their only big man, and Porzingis is going to be out. So their rim protector is out. Cleveland do like to attack the paint. They do like, to shoot the 3 as well. They like the transition game, but they play a lot of big players. Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, assuming those 2 players are healthy, should be very big factors in this game. But the question is, can Cleveland really protect that 3-point line? Because Boston are still going to play the same way, with or without Kristaps Porzingis. They're going to play that 5-out system. They are going to shoot the 3 ball. Can you truly stop them from doing that? That's going to be the key for Cleveland. with their big men. And for Boston, if they continue to knock down those threes, they're going to be almost unstoppable no matter who's in that lineup. They've got a heck of a three-point shooting team. They are easily the best three-point shooting team in the league. So with that being said, I think Boston will win this series in 6 games. 5 minutes for just one thing. But again, it's going to be a long video, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, with that being said, let's move on to the next Eastern Conference series, and that's going to be the Indiana Pacers against the Knicks. By the way, I predicted Boston and Cleveland to walk away of their series victors for round 1. The Pacers I did not expect to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, but unfortunately for Milwaukee, they just couldn't stay healthy. Giannis did not play a game this series, I believe, and Dame got hurt midway through this series. Now, you can put all the excuses to the Bucks in the world. The fact of the matter is they were projected to be the favourites and they did walk away as losers of the series. Does that mean they have to pack it all up and reshape the team? I still think it's a bit too early for that. Dame has just joined the team. I still think they're going to give it another shot next season, but it's something to really think about, how to keep these players healthy entering a big playoff series, because it's clear, no Giannis, no wins. That's how I view it at least. And the Pacers, you know, I think the biggest question for them was, can they bring their style of play into the playoffs? The playoffs are a very slow, half-court offense type of game, and the Pacers are very quick, go, you know, movement, run. That's the Pacers, and they've got players like Tyrese Halliburton that can make things click for them. And it turns out that question was answered. The Pacers did very, very well. So you got to give all the credit to them in the world. And yeah, that's a tough break for, I guess, the Milwaukee Bucks. For the Knicks, swiftly beating the 76ers, I did predict the Knicks to beat them because it looked like Philly were kind of sending a bit of trash talk before the series, and I don't think you could do that with a team like the Knicks. The Knicks, if there's anything you could say about them, they're a tough team, and what I liked about the Knicks series was the togetherness they played with. Guys like Josh Hart bringing some massive games to the New York Knicks. You got guys like Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein doing their thing. They're not the most well-known, most important players on the team, but the impact that they can provide when guys like Jalen Brunson struggles is phenomenal. And they played with the real togetherness that I don't think Philadelphia did. I mean, guys like Tobias Harris went really quiet this series. You just can't do that. You just can't do that in the playoffs. Joel Embiid, I think this is, to be fair, one of the better playoff series he's had, but his injuries just could not... They overtook him. Again, you know, the thing with his eye, I don't remember what it's called. Ballsy or something like that disease, where basically half of his face, he could not really function, move. Again, depending on how serious that is, that could be a life thing for him. So I don't really know the updates on that. Obviously, his knee injury that was surgically repaired. Again, the biggest thing with the 76ers is to get Joel Embiid ready for the playoffs. I know he's such a big candidate for the MVP every year, but at some points, forget about the MVP. Load manage that man until the playoffs, so there's no excuses for why he gets hurt every season. But still, there was no togetherness with the 76ers, and the Knicks, there was much more togetherness there. I think the 76ers actually have a better quality team, but no one played better than the Knicks together. It really felt like it was a team, the New York Knicks, and that's what I liked about them. And this is a clashing of styles. This is going to be defense versus offense, in my opinion. I think the Knicks are still well known for their defensive pressure, and the Pacers are known for their fast play. And I think this series will actually be tougher for the Pacers than the Bucks series. I really believe it. Because I don't think the Knicks are going to let them get away with playing a fast-paced, very high-motor type of game. And if the Knicks do that, they will lose quickly. So with that being said, who do I think is going to walk away with this series? Look, I genuinely think the Knicks are going to do it. I think the Knicks are going to win. I'm going to pick them in 7 because I don't think this is clear-cut as maybe, you know, some of the first round action, for example. But I really believe that they could do it. Moving on into the next one. We've got the OKC Thunder versus the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference. Now, the Western Conference, I think, is borderline impossible to pick because I think any of these teams can make the finals. I'm being dead serious when I say that. You know, I guess for the Thunder, dealing with the Pelicans, I would say it was a pretty fun series, but the Pelicans, they brought close games, but they couldn't really get a win. And the Thunder, again, they're one of the youngest teams in the league, and Thunder fans should be very proud of them. One of the biggest questions was always going to be, can they translate their game, Shai and everybody else, into the NBA playoffs? And maybe the Pelicans with no Zion is not the real way to answer a question like that, which is why this Dallas game is going to be a heck of a challenge for the Thunder. And then you've got Luka for the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, you know, they beat the Clippers again. That's crazy to me. But again, it's like, how could you go against Luka Doncic? He's an MVP caliber player. He's in the top 3 race for the MVP. He's just so dominant, and he's really trying to play defense throughout this playoff series as well. And the Clippers, man, what a disappointment the Los Angeles Clippers have been, exiting the first round again. I know they didn't have Kawhi Leonard for the first game, but Kawhi Leonard looks like a shell of himself. It feels like, again, there's no togetherness with this Clippers team. It feels like there's a lot of isolation and a lot of forced shots that are being thrown up by the Clippers. And I don't care who you are, how much talent you have in your team, forcing up shots every possession will not get you a championship. So they got all the talent. You look on paper, their team looks stacked upon stacked upon stacked. But being a stacked team gets you nowhere if you can't play together like a team. It was a big problem when they brought Russell Westbrook into that team and had all those guys starting. It felt like it was just my turn, my turn, my turn. Everybody's getting a turn. But there was no togetherness with the team. And things changed with Westbrook on the bench. It just didn't seem like things really got together for them in the playoffs. I don't know what they're going to do in the offseason, whether they change or whether they stay again and try to compete. But look, they've had so many cracks at it. Something's got to give at some point. Now, who do I think is going to win this series? OKC, for me, is a little bit of a lesser trustworthy team, to be honest. I say this with all the respect in the world. They're just so young. And I just don't know. I think the Dallas Mavericks is not the best defensive team you could put out there, especially from those forward positions. And I don't think there's anyone that's going to stop Shai. But I do feel like there's a little bit of unreliability with OKC. However, if they play their brand of basketball, I do think they are better than the Dallas Mavericks overall. And I'm going to have to hope that they're going to do it because they're the first seed and I want to back them here. So I'm going to pick them to win in 6 games. But I'm like tossing and turning on that one. And this one should be fun. The last game to talk about in round 2, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. Minnesota absolutely destroying the Phoenix Suns in that series. And with Phoenix, I mean, what could have went wrong. Firstly, everything that we predicted that could go wrong for the Phoenix Suns went wrong. The coaching staff, they hired Frank Vogel, I believe. Not a very good head coach from my understanding, and I don't know why they got rid. I think it was Monty Williams at the time. I don't know why they got rid of him. If they were going to get rid of DeAndre Ayton, they should have just kept him. You know, those were the 2 clashing points. So instead of keeping one and getting rid of the other, they got rid of both. And that was a natural sign for disaster for me. Bringing Kevin Durant is a good move. Devin Booker, good move. Bradley Beal, good move. But where's their point guard? I still don't trust Devin Booker and Bradley Beal from time to time to be their point guards. Are they talented? Yes. Are they scorers? Yes. Can they assist? Yes. But I don't think they are anywhere near as good as what Chris Paul would have been for them, composing and settling that team down and bringing some leadership on the offensive side as a point guard. They do not have their natural point guard. They put a shooting guard as a point guard, and I don't think that worked at all. I even said to my friends a couple of weeks ago, I think if they had that Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant team, they would have performed better in this playoff series than what they currently did. And their bench was just completely awful in that series as well. No defense, no production off their bench compared to the OKC Thunder, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who had the 6th man of the year on their team and they had a great bench contribution. They're just night and day. One plays as a team, the other plays as really talented scorers, but they don't play like a team. And there's complaints left, right, and center being thrown. So I think that was a very easy choice, and I did pick the Timberwolves to win. By the way, I did pick the Thunder and the Mavericks to walk away from that series. We'll move to the Denver Nuggets, beating the LA Lakers. Again, it seems like it's a common theme for the Lakers to get destroyed by the Denver Nuggets. Now, of course, there's a little bit of luck in that. I don't want to be attacked by Lakers fans. I understand there's 2 buzzer beaters in that series. And if those buzzer beaters don't go in, the Lakers will probably still be in a round 1 matchup against the Nuggets. But that's how the cookie crumbles. We saw Kawhi Leonard end a 7-game series by a buzzer beater. And they ended up winning a championship because of it. That's the NBA. I think a lot of Lakers players went missing in that series. D'Lo went missing again. A phenomenal regular season. Don't think he had a good playoff series at all. Austin Reeves, from time to time, went missing. Again, it felt like LeBron and AD for the most part versus the rest. And even sometimes AD disappointed me. And at the age that LeBron is, I'm sorry, there's too much talent around the league for one man to take on an entire team. He could have done that with the Heat. He didn't have to. He could have done that with the Cavs. He didn't have to. Now it feels like he has to. And it's just not the right league to do it in. You know, I felt like maybe if it was the early 2000s and LeBron was 39 years old, he could one-man his way to the finals. And there were times where he did do that. When Kyrie and Kevin Love got hurt, he one-manned his team to a final series. You just can't do that anymore in this league. There's too much skilled players, too much killers in this league. So the Lakers get dealt with swiftly. Denver did not look that, in my opinion, impressive. There were a couple of times where they went down big. There were a couple of times where they had to respond to criticism, which is always good. But they're the champions, and it's hard to go against them. Now, I believe there's one game already played in this series, and Minnesota did win. These guys played last year, and Denver did win. But this is not the same Minnesota Timberwolves team that we saw last season. It's not the same. Anthony Edwards is a different breed this season. They finally got things clicking with Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns. Mike Conley is the glue that they so desperately needed. They've got 6th man of the year on their team in Naz Reid. They're productive. They're moving. They're energy. It's fun. This is not the same Minnesota Timberwolves team. And I think out of every team in the league, I've given so much positive feedback, so much compliments to Minnesota compared to everybody else in this league. However, the champions are the champions, and I can't go against the champions. So with that being said, in a 7-game series, I'm predicting Denver to walk away with a win. I really want to be proven wrong because you don't understand. There's nothing more I would want than to see Minnesota get to the finals and try to go for their first championship. Denver's had their time. Last season, they won their first ever NBA championship. It was their moment. Minnesota, I'm waiting for their moment. You know, they're the second team I'm pulling for. Of course, I want Boston to win it all because I feel like their team has been around for so long, and I think that, you know, they need to at least get one with that core. Otherwise, what a waste of talent they have. But Minnesota, that's the team in the West that I want to win. I want them to win so badly. And hopefully they do get the opportunity. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the second round. There was a lot that I predicted wrong. I predicted the Pacers to lose. And I think that's about it, actually. I did predict the Thunder to win. I predicted the Mavs to win. I predicted the Timberwolves and the Nuggets to win. Yeah, maybe I didn't get it so wrong, but I definitely got the playing tournaments wrong, so thankfully we don't need to talk much about that. So yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. It's a much longer video, and I understand people won't want to watch it, but look, if you do watch it to the end, just know it wasn't easy to make this video. I want to talk about the Bulls all day long. You know, I want to make those 10 to 20 minute videos about the Bulls. But the fact of the matter is, I can't keep talking about things that are not going on. What's going on around the Bulls is dead at the moment. It's dead quiet. There's nothing to talk about. I'd rather be in this situation in the second round talking about whether or not we can beat I'm assuming if we actually walked out of the first round, we would have beaten the Boston Celtics. Whether or not we could beat Cleveland, you know? I would have loved that, but that's not what we got. So hopefully this makes you a little bit jealous, a little bit angry, a little bit frustrated. That's what I'm going for in this video at the end of the day if you're a Bulls fan. I hope you do feel those things. Because I want that front office, I want that team, I want those players, I want the coach, all to feel those things when they're looking at the playoffs, on the outside looking in, at all those teams that have a chance to win a championship, and you're sitting there in Cancun or wherever you may be, watching the playoffs from the outside. You know, at some point, these players have pride. They do. I'm hoping this eats them alive. And they come back next season with a point to prove. Some of them at least. Thank you for watching. Drop a like and a follow and or subscribe if you are new. I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care. And peace.